Well, good morning, beautiful people. It's your girl Bev for another Saturday morning live show. So, good morning, Sister Darwinika. How are you? I just want to say welcome back to everyone that has been here before, and welcome to all those that are here for the first time for the Fly with Bev show. Why do we call it the Fly with Bev show? Because we want to have a butterfly mentality in a world full of caterpillar struggles. So I try to incorporate and to inspire and motivate people to have a healthy mindset, to be able to rise above the way they feel by having the mindset to fight every single day, to not allow our issues and our struggles to control us, to make us feel less than, or to make us feel like we can't make it through. So if you were here last week, basically we talked about friend versus enemy. So we talked about how it's so easy to recognize what a friend is when we're looking on the external. When we're looking at a friend, we're like, man, they've been there for me. They supported me. They held me up. They had my back. They had the best intentions. And then we can also notice an enemy when someone doesn't have our best interest at heart, when someone just really just has it in for us. They don't care too much about us. They try to destroy us. They try to put stuff out about us to make us look bad. That's what we know about an enemy. But I also turned it around and said, okay, well, how are you a friend and an enemy to yourself? So if you want to get a chance to, whenever you get a chance to look at that, you go back and look at the replay of it, because it's on my YouTube channel as well as my Facebook as well. So basically it's, I don't know how these glasses looking. Okay, whatever. So basically it's you just looking at yourself and saying, okay, what am I doing to me that's causing me to be a friend that I need to keep doing, and that's causing me an enemy that I need to stop doing to myself. So hi, Esther. Hey, everyone that's joining. I really appreciate your eyes and your ears and your support this morning. And I know I don't post the topics because I am very an impromptu person. I had a topic on my mind all last week, but this morning, this topic just hit me. And I was like, you know what? I said I was going to talk about this a while ago. So let's just get into it this morning. Let's talk about something that can be taboo in certain cultures, can be taboo in certain families, can be taboo to the point where people feel like it does not exist. But one thing I truly am glad, and this is no shade to anyone that is old enough to be my mom or dad, but I'm just glad that I am born and raised in a generation where we recognize the traumas, we recognize the things that have taken us in a certain place, and we can recognize where we presently are and can do better, and to help our children do better. Because how can I do better and help future children do better if I myself don't even know what's wrong with me or won't accept what's wrong with me. So today it's a familiar subject that's going on in the world. It's called mental health. Mental health is so vital in this everyday living. Hi, Wanda. I love when everybody's like, "Hey, are we going live?" I love stuff like that. So thank you. But I want to talk about mental health today because me being a person, I'm a very detailed person. I'm the type of person where I want to know what it is I'm dealing with. How can I handle it? Hi, Deidre. Oh my gosh, how are you? And I want to know, like, how do I fix it? And then how do I help someone else in the near future or the far future how to come out of it? Because sometimes you could be dealing with something and you don't really know what you're dealing with, and you don't even know how to help yourself. So how in the world can you help somebody else? It's just impossible to help anybody when you can't even help yourself. So one thing about me, I want to start off with telling you all about my background concerning mental health. Let's see. I've always dealt with anxiety at certain points in my life where I would wake up in a panic and, have panic attacks and stuff like that. Greetings, sis. I would wake up, and have, panic attacks growing up. But when I got in my mid 20s, early to mid 20s, I think I was around about 23, maybe 24. And I began to go into depression. And I really didn't know what it was. All I knew is that there was something different about me. And as y'all can tell, I'm a very butterfly girl. I'm not the type of girl that likes to sit around and act like her life is falling apart. It could be everything falling apart at once, but I'm not the type that want people to see that. So I was battling with depression. And at first, I didn't know what it was. All I knew is that my mood was changing. All I knew is that things that might have made me laugh before, I started becoming irritated easily. I didn't really want to be around people. And this was not over like 3 months. I believe I was depressed from like the end of 23 to probably like the beginning or halfway through 26. And it got worse and worse and worse and worse. And I'm a very bubbly person, so I did not want my family to know that I was feeling like this. I didn't want my coworkers to know that I was feeling like this. I had to find someone that I could trust, someone that I could confide in, and someone that had what it took to help me without judging me or making me feel like this shouldn't be happening. And it wasn't that I couldn't trust my family. It wasn't that I just didn't want them to see me in that light because I didn't know how they would handle it. So what ended up happening was I started being depressed. I started not feeling good. I wasn't really eating as well as I should have been. Any little thing. I think at the time I was staying with my parents around the time that I started being depressed. And my room became the only place that I feel like I can get away from everybody. I didn't want to come home. I went to work and I didn't want to go to work. I remember sitting in the parking lot before work, crying my eyes out because I was like, God, I don't want to work. I don't want to be here around these people. I remember on my way home, getting ready to turn into the neighborhood, busting out crying because I'm like, God, I don't want to go home because there was no escape. I wanted to be alone and I couldn't escape. Your parents, you come in the house, hey girl, I need you to do this. I need you to do that. Clean the dishes, do this. All right. It's your night to cook. You gotta do this, you gotta do that, blah, blah, blah. And I just didn't want to hear my name. I didn't want to hear my name being called. I didn't want nobody to ask me to do anything. I'm just like, I never forget. My little sister can vouch for me if she remembers. But my mom was like, you need to do the dishes. And in that moment, when my mom left, I was angry because I didn't want to do them. So I was just like, I don't want to do the dishes. And she looked at me. She was like, okay, I'll do them. You ain't got to do them. I'll do them. And she kind of knew that I wasn't myself. And she kind of knew that there was something wrong. And I was giving her a little bit of details, but I didn't give her a lot because I didn't know whether or not she could handle it. And it's not that I don't think she's strong, but it's just that sometimes we put this on ourselves when we want to maintain what we normally are in front of people because we don't want them to see us as weak or not able to handle life. And sometimes in the communities that you're raised in, I'm churchy. I was raised in the church. So pray, call on God, ask God to help you. Those are things that come in your mind. Those are things, if they come to your mind, because they don't always come to your mind. And that's just me keeping it real. And at the moment, I couldn't really think about certain things like that. But church was the only place where I felt good. Honestly, I felt like I escaped at church because nobody called my name. Nobody asked me for anything. Everybody, exactly, Wanda, people are scared to be vulnerable. Nobody asked me, can you do this? Can you do that? Praise and testimony going on. If I wanted to sing, I could stand up and sing. If I didn't want to sing, I didn't have to stand up. If I didn't want to testify, I didn't have to testify. When the word came forth, I sat right there and I listened to the word, and I just asked God just to help me, because that was the only place I would get down on my knees and pray at church, and I would just feel like it was just me and God, because that was the only place that I could truly say nobody bothered me. Nobody bothered the social butterfly. She didn't want to be social. I would go after service and get straight in the car sometimes. And this was different for me. My sister would say, hey, we want to go out to eat after. And I would force myself to go because I didn't want nobody to ask me what's wrong. How was I supposed to tell them that? I didn't want them to know. Wasn't to me. I was like, nah, I ain't ready to tell nobody. It wasn't until it got so bad. This source that I was talking to all the time, back and forth, I would text her my feelings, and I would just tell her how I was feeling. I was just telling her how it was just so hard to wake up in the morning. It was like there was this brick house just sitting on my chest. And I just felt like it took everything in me. I literally took one leg out of the bed, took the other leg out of the bed. Then I slowly sat up. Then I slowly said, God, I don't feel like getting up out of bed. It got so bad to the point where I actually woke up in the morning, opened my eyes and said, I'm still alive. Like, I'm still here. I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to be here. But what I was really screaming on the inside was, I don't want depression anymore. I don't want to be depressed anymore. I don't want to be sad anymore. I don't want to be held down by these feelings, these thoughts, these emotions. I don't want to be held captive, held hostage by the way that I feel every single day. That's really what I was saying. And Jim Carrey said it best. He said, it's not that we, if I'm not mistaken, it was him. It's not that we want to die. We just want depression to die. So I think a lot of people who end up committing suicide, that's their thought process. The only way out is to die. The only way out is to escape this life. The only way to escape depression is to escape living. So they choose to take their lives versus trying to figure out how to come out of something that's making them feel like they have nothing to live for. And that's what depression will do, make you feel like you don't have nothing to live for. Your life is hopeless. You're a failure. You're never anything. You're just going to live like this for the rest of your life. And you don't want to live like this anymore. So what do? You find ways to and I thought about taking my own life. I really did. I thought about taking my own life, and I thought about how I could do it. But then in the midst of that, it's like God already knew, my sister, my little sister, I only got one. She came across my mind, and I saw her crying, hysterically crying, because she found me dead. And in that moment, I said, oh no, I'm not going to let my sister live with that. I'm not going to let her live with that every day of her life, wondering what she could have done to help me, wondering what she could have done to get me to not do that. Oh no, there's this post that's going around that says, it's something along the lines of, if you feel like you don't want to live life anymore, just know that I would rather hear your story than to attend your funeral. And that right there sticks out to me, because I know how that moment feels when you just don't want to live, but you think about somebody else having to deal with you not being here because you simply gave up. Don't get me wrong. I can't speak for those that have committed suicide, because they're no longer here to tell their story. And I'm not going to make it seem like what they did, I don't have nothing to do with that. Let me put it that way. But I do know that today's society is so much pressure in this world. It's so many things we look at, and those things kill our joy. Those things kill our mindsets. So that's my story. I know that's been like a long time me talking, but I really felt like I had no reason to live. And if there's any reason why I should live, it's really truly to glorify God. That's just how I see it. Whether you believe in God or not, that's on you. But me, I do believe in the living God. And I do know that he put me here to praise and to worship and to obey him. So that is my duty. my responsibility. And me trying to take my own life, me trying to say to myself that I wasn't, I don't have anything to live for. No, that's not okay for me. For me, it's not. So I want to talk about anxiety as well, because sometimes, like I said, I still get anxious. So tell me, I know I'm gonna include y'all. Okay. I don't feel like I'm gonna talk the whole time, but this is something I'm very passionate about because I've lived it. There are people in this life that have never been depressed, that have never been having all these anxiety attacks back to back and been having panic attacks. So they can't really talk about something that they really don't experience. But I want to know, I don't know if y'all can still hear me. Let me know if y'all can. I feel like my internet be shady sometimes. But anxiety, as I looked up the definition, it says intense, excessive worry and fear. So that's something that's always pressed, on you. It's something that you're constantly worried about. And, what are some things that we find ourselves worrying about, things that we shouldn't worry about, but things that we do? I know one thing for me is just what tomorrow's going to bring. If I know there's something I need to do or something that I'm looking forward to in the future, sometimes I worry about how it's going to be. And it's not even here yet. It's not even here yet. Oh, yes. Oh, thank y'all. Okay. Thanks, Destiny and Wanda. But yeah, Sister Niqua says, we hear you. Appreciate your vulnerability. That gets me. I can relate to all of the above. The only thing that kept me was the thought of my son being alone and God not accepting me into the kingdom. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing your story. About to start crying. I thank God you're still here. Okay, Esther, thank you. I'm glad I'm still here too, girl. I thank God for that. I look back on it and I thank God so much for it. In the midst of my depression, I had anxiety as well, and I was worried. So what are some things that we worry about? What are some things that will allow us to really fear, the future? Because that's really what it is. Remember, I mentioned in the morning routine podcast, the very first one, about not living in the present. You're not living in the present. So you're not actively thinking on what you're currently dealing with, where you're at right then. You're thinking about what's going to happen 3 years down the road. So in your mind, you're freaking out. You're trying to figure out what in the world can I do for this, that, and the third, blah, 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 blah. Let's say you have an assignment in class, a paper that's due in 2 weeks. And instead of you just taking your time and bit by bit, just kind of scheduling out what all you need to do, you're freaking out about how it's due in 2 weeks and you only got one line on the paper. Okay, well, you got 2 weeks. You got some time. Okay, you got some time. So calm down, breathe, stretch. Just woosah, as they would say on Bad Boys, and get it together, right? Let me see. Destiny says, I have anxiety about getting what I really want because I don't feel deserving of it due to past traumas. Now, that's something that you have to always think about. Like, okay, how can I say this? We don't deserve the good that comes to us, but let's see. It's so hard to explain that. I feel like I don't deserve these good things because I don't feel like I'm good enough to receive them. But at the same time, evidently, God saw something different. That's how I look at it. He don't look at me the way I look at myself. So there are times when I look at me like, man, I don't deserve that. I don't even need it. So am I really truly going to get it? And that causes worry. So don't think about whether or not you deserve it or not. Just be like, okay, this is what I want. So let me just focus on what I want and not focus on whether or not I deserve it. Because if we think about it like that, we'll never really truly prepare for those things that we actually truly want. So whatever we want, focus on that and then prepare yourself to receive it. That way, if it's truly meant for you, it'll come to you and you'll be receptive of it. You'll be appreciative of it. And it won't be a shock. Oh my gosh, like I really got this. You can still be shocked about it, but just think well of yourself. Let's see. I had a lot of enemies and voids in my life. So those are things that cause us to worry. Absolutely. They cause us to worry. We worry about, who's looking at us, who's hating us, who's, speaking certain things to us, and that's not something that we need to even have in our minds. Enemies are going to be enemies regardless. But at the same time, we still have to be us. Emptiness. I'm sorry. She said enemies. I said enemies. Emptiness. Emptiness in our lives. We still have to be us. I don't know how I read that. Y'all forgive me. I had a lot of emptiness and voids in my life. What was I reading? My mind is like going a million places at the same time. But she said emptiness and void. So we fill ourselves up with things that we don't even realize we don't need because we're feeling so empty that we're trying to find something. All right, let me do this, let me do that. And that's how some people become alcoholics. They become drug addicts. They become addicted to all sorts of things in life because they try to fill in those empty places, not knowing that it's not meant for them to. It's not meant for them to. We have to find what truly is valuable and important in our lives to be able to be satisfied mentally and emotionally and spiritually and physically. So we have to go for those things that are good to us. Because if not, we'll fill ourselves up with a whole bunch of things that will tear us down in the long run, simply because we're worried. Let's see, not living up to my full potential is something I constantly worry about. And honestly, that is something to worry about sometimes because we do think about that. But if you stay present and you look at where you came from and you look at where you are, then you can see, okay, if I came from there and I'm here now, then what makes me think I can't go further? Right? Right? Those are some things that we have to think about. Excuse me, y'all. I get all excited and my everything, allergies or whatever. Sorry, acting up. But anyway, basically, that is something to worry about at times, but not in a way where it paralyzes you. I would say thinking about it is better versus worrying about it. Like you can think about it like, okay, am I gonna be high? When those thoughts come to your mind, you have to learn how to shoot those things away. Okay, don't worry about that. Don't worry about living up to your full potential. Let me just live in this moment and live up to what I can live up to right now and be the best I can be in this moment. That's all we can do is live up to what it is that we're doing presently and stay focused on in that present moment. Like, okay, in this present moment, I'm doing X, Y, Z. What am I doing in this present moment that I can do better? What am I doing in this present moment that I have to change? And I think once we get there, we can no longer worry about certain things. I become very anxious about not being the best daughter, sister, role model, wife in the future, mom in the future. I know that I don't have to be perfect, but I don't want to have a negative effect on others. Absolutely. Absolutely. Think about that. We do become like that. I told somebody recently, I'm terrible at being imperfect. I'm terrible. I'm a perfectionist. I want to be perfect. And sometimes we put unrealistic expectations on ourselves. I was told this, that I put unrealistic expectations on myself. And for whatever reason, sometimes that can stem from what someone has said to you, done to you, or made you feel in the past to the point where you feel like you're not okay when you mess up. Listen, if messing up was not a part of life, would anybody truly be successful? Would anybody truly be as great as they are? You know how many times successful people have failed before they have succeeded? Denzel Washington said he did not do well on his first audition, but he kept coming back. So in that moment, it's not about the failure. It's about what do we do after we mess up? What do we do when we don't tell our children the right thing? We just gonna say, oh, okay, well, I'm the parent, so they'll be all right. No. What do? We say, hey, I'm sorry. I told you to do this, but I shouldn't have. As your parent, I messed up. And I just want to say that I'm sorry and let you know that I'm working on me just as well as I'm teaching you. And I'm learning just like you're learning. As the future wife, I don't know what it's like, but I do know what it's like to be a child and how, you know, sometimes you do feel like your parents are perfect and they can never mess up. And then when you mess up, you feel like a horrible person. But when they let you know that they mess up too, you're like, oh, we can do that in life. We can mess up. And I feel like as children, we need to hear that at a young age. As humans, we need to hear that it's okay to fail. It's okay to mess up. I've seen this thing that said, fail big. If I'm not mistaken, Denzel Washington said this too. Fail big, mess up. But at the end of the day, it's how you handle those mess ups that allows you to go forward and to not be anxious again. You're not gonna do everything right for other people. You're not even gonna do everything right for yourself. So you putting those expectations on yourself, making yourself feel like you have to do everything right, that's gonna cripple you. So you have to take your time, breathe, and be like, okay, I messed up. How do I fix this? If I messed up with someone, I fix it with that person by apologizing, right? Saying I'm sorry. If I mess up with myself, I say, okay, Bev, you good, girl. Okay, I love you. You doing all right. Hang in there. It's going to be all right. It's going to be better. Don't worry about what people think about you. You mess up with God. Okay, Lord, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what I did. Apologizing to yourself, to other people, to God, and forgiving yourself are most important things whenever you don't do as well as you think you should. Then she's Esther, this is it. I'm right. I done said so much stuff. I don't know what you're referring to, but okay. Esther says, I then become a people pleaser and start lacking on things concerning myself. And then I can't be that person I need to be. You know what? So you have to discipline yourself to understand that your thoughts, basically, if you become a people pleaser because you want them to look at you in a certain light, it's really a thing of, you have to ask yourself, are they perfect? Do they mess up? Do they do things incorrectly? Do they say things that hurt my feelings? So you're not the only person that's gonna mess up. They do things to you that's gonna hurt you. They're gonna do things to you that don't make you feel good. So what do? You forgive them. So forgive yourself. Do we have a therapist in the making? I don't know. Somebody has told me that many times I should be a therapist, and people have told me you're my therapist. I'm like, hold on now, because I don't get everything right. I need somebody to be my therapist. I can relate to everyone comments here. I automatically revert to past failure and think about how I'm going to mess up the present or the future. So we have to look at those past things to really push us forward. But to not make us feel like we have to stay where we are or that we're going to mess up again and if we do mess up again, guess what? It's okay. It's life, it's learning, it's living. If you don't mess up in life, I mean, you can't really cherish those moments when you're successful. Really, honestly, seriously, you really can't. Sister Lily said the subconscious pressures of having the perfect life, love and marriage and kids, a happy life, all of which was communicated as a child and constantly preached by family and peers, church and work, etc. The questions I get asked a lot is, when are you going to get married? Or when am I getting a niece or nephew? As if I lack of these things makes me feel, as if the lack of these things make me feel less of a woman. Oh no, absolutely not. One thing I have always said, I am happy as a single woman. I appreciate my single days. I really love my single self. And whenever I become involved in a relationship, it does not make me, it doesn't mean that I have arrived. Doesn't mean that I have arrived because I'm in a relationship. I was already here. I just showed up with a significant other. That's how I look at it. Boom. Bev, been here. Okay. I've been here with or without the husband, the kids, the big house with the white picket fence. I was here before all that. I was here when I was living in the hood. Okay. I had already arrived. And you can't allow those pressures of life to make you feel like you're less than, because people will do that. You still single? Yes, I am, honey, and I'm happy about that. What's wrong with you? You still married? Well, yeah, I'm still married. All right, then. So mind your business. They don't want you to ask them that, do they? Your kids still love you? They still at the house with you? Oh, okay. They don't want you to ask them questions like that. They'll feel offended. Ooh, they'll be mad with you about that. You're incomplete, and you're incomplete by yourself. You're not incomplete with other things, and that's one thing people fail to realize. And I think people that think that way, honestly, those people that think that way are people that never thought they were anything until they had tangible things. And those people probably didn't love themselves until they were with someone. They didn't feel like they were anything. So they feel like you're not anything because you don't have the things they have, which is totally wrong and opposite. That's why I encourage all people that are single, embrace that single life. Do not feel like you are less than because you don't have a significant other, because you don't have kids. Let me tell you something. You can be a married person with all the kids in the world, and you can still be unhappy within yourself because you have tangible things, but you don't have peace. You don't have love. You don't have joy. You don't have self-love. You don't have those things within yourself that you need to be the best person you can be. So it doesn't even matter what people think, man. I'm a strong-minded woman with a strong heart at times, and sometimes my heart can get a little shaky, but at the most part, I know that I'm a wonderful woman, whether I'm single, whether I'm taken. And I think when people realize that, they'll get off the backs of those that don't have those things. But those are people that don't know what true value is. Let's see. That's right. When fall forward, not backwards. Yes. I heard that the other day too, Brother Andre. Seriously. I also deal with positive toxicity, like you mentioned before, feeling like you have to be positive all the time. Yeah, girl, you got to embrace the moments when you do not feel the best of yourself. Like whenever I don't feel my best, whenever I feel like crap. One time I was going through this situation that was really breaking my heart, y'all. And you know what someone told me? Feel it. Feel every last bit of the emotions behind it. If you feel broken, feel broken. Don't try to run from any emotion. People would quickly embrace love. They'll quickly embrace happiness. They'll quickly embrace joy because it feels good. But embrace those moments that don't feel good. Embrace the anger, embrace the hurt, embrace the just the illness, just the negativity that you're having. You don't have to put it on anyone else, but just embrace the fact that you feel that way, acknowledge it, and then see what you're doing with it, and then figure out how to push it to the side or get rid of it after that. But you have to feel certain things in life in order to value the good parts of life. You have to feel those downs so that you can really truly appreciate the ups. Honestly, girl, you need to do an episode on dealing with anger. Okay. I'll think about that. I think sometimes I probably need to listen to an episode on somebody talking about anger myself. So, I don't know what's up with my allergies this morning, but they're really getting the best of me. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm not sick. Come on here. She was already here. That's right. I was already here. Been out here. Exactly. And that's one thing people don't really realize, man. We have so many things in this life to accomplish. We shouldn't be worried about the things that other people put on us, and we shouldn't be worried about, because think about it. The things that we're worried about, we've either heard it, we've observed it, or we've had to deal with someone that was dealing with it as well. So sometimes we put those same fears upon ourselves if we're not careful, so you have to really be careful about having all this anxiety, worried about the future, worried about things you cannot control. You can't control everything, and you're not in control. I don't care how much you feel like you are in control. You are never in control of things. I don't care how many times you feel like you've done this, you've done that, you've set your alarm, you've done this routine. You are still not in control of everything that you think you're in control of. You're just not. You're just not. Absolutely not. There's a difference between anxiety and panic. Anxiety is something that has a slower onset. You begin to think those thoughts. You begin to feel those feelings. You begin to think about what's happening, and then slowly you become anxious. Whereas a panic attack, that thing comes on so fast, and I've had them multiple times. They come on you so fast, you don't even realize you're having it until it's there. Boom. Panic attack. You can't think straight. You can't stop thinking. You can't stop surrounding yourself with all this negativity. And I mean, it takes a little while for it to simmer down. And I've had them. It's not a fun thing. It's not a fun thing. And when you're dealing with someone that's having anxiety or panic, do not tell them, what you worried about? Like, why you worried? No. If you're going to go to them, you better go to them in a way where they can receive it. And sometimes they may not be able to receive. Sometimes you just got to hug them. All right. Come, we're going to be all right. All right. Come on. Let's just work through it. Talk to me. What's going on in your mind? How you thinking? How you feeling? Come on, talk to me. Let's do this. Come on. Talk about it. Yep. How else you feeling? What's going on in your mind? Don't get all up in their face like, oh, you'll be all right. What? Nope. You have to console that person. You have to let them know they are important in that moment, and how they're feeling is just as relevant. Let me see. Have you had issues with social media affecting your mental? I was going to mention that earlier. Social media can be a joy kill. Look at the world we live in. Look at the kids that are on social media, the adults that are on social media. Yes, Destiny, please say that again. She says, sometimes saying everything will be all right makes things worse. It depends on the person. Absolutely. I'm a problem solver. I don't want to sit there and tell somebody everything's going to be all right. Talk to me. What's going on? Okay, how you feeling? Okay, well, when you're feeling like that, well, what do you think is coming from? Okay, well, why do you think you feel like that? Okay, well, who said that? Okay, so all right, so that's where we got to start. We got to start here. But yes, social media has definitely had, sorry, I'm jumping all over the place, but y'all are giving me some good stuff. That's why mental health is just, it was meant for me to talk about this today. Absolutely meant for it. But social media can make you feel depressed, anxious, and it makes you compare yourself to other people, and it really can make you sad to the point where you just don't even know what else to do but say, man, look at their life, they just look so happy. It's social media. Guess what? Outside of that camera, other mess is going on. Outside of that camera, other things are happening, things that you don't see, things they don't want nobody to see. When I was depressed, I might have took pictures with people. I was around my family laughing, talking, but deep down inside, I didn't want to live. So Think about it that way. And when some people are happy about their thing, they post they're happy. Oh, wow, that's beautiful. But if you was to ask that person, hey, how you doing? You doing all right? They may tell you, no, I'm not. This is going on. That's going on. You don't even realize, man, wow. Okay, you going through that? Well, girl, you were just posting a picture. You look beautiful. Girl, I loved your hair, everything. Yeah, but girl, this is what I've been dealing with. I've been trying to push through everything. So you can't look at social media and truly say those people are true. They don't have nothing wrong with them. They're not going through nothing in their lives. They don't have anything pressuring them. No, absolutely not. Social media will trick you. And that's what has happened to so many kids, so many adults. They're looking at the big picture, right? Oh, they posted this picture. They look happy. This post is great. Even I myself, I post stuff all the time. But there are certain days when I don't post things because certain days I don't even feel like it. And other days when I do feel like posting stuff, I am encouraging myself because I'm having a crappy day. So you cannot, there are people that are truly themselves on social media, and there are people that aren't. So if you know people and you know how they are on or off social media, then you look at their stuff and you see them doing good, you know they're doing good. They post that post like, man, people get on my nerves. Okay, you know they upset because you know how they are off screen. But when you are just looking at celebrities, you're looking at people you don't even know. You don't know what they got going on. Keep your mind focused. Keep your mind focused. They put up a beautiful picture, you love it and keep it moving. They put up, they mad, they angry, or somebody did this and flipped their coffee over, and now they didn't fault somebody, and now they blah blah blah, whatever. You know, you choose to respond to it, you respond to it. But don't take social media so heavy. Don't take it so deep. They're just people just like you. They are not anybody else. They're not some alien that has everything worked out. They're people just like you. Don't put them on a pinnacle. They are people who have imperfect lives. They have bad behaviors. They have good behaviors. They have good days. They have bad days. They have fears. They have loves. They have joys. They have bad situations. They have good situations. They're just like you. They're just on social media. They're just on social media. Let me see. Let me see. Sorry, I don't know why in the world. Let me see. One of the favorite quotes, right? Comparison is the thief of joy. Don't compare yourself to people, not even your own siblings. They are who they are for a reason. They're your sibling. You're loving them. They have their place in their life, in your life. They're meant to be a certain place. But that doesn't mean because I have siblings that have master's degrees. I don't have one. But I don't feel like I'm dumb because I don't have one or they're smarter than me. No, they're definitely smart, beautiful women. I have 5 sisters and they are beautiful. Every last one of them are beautiful. And I look at them and I'm probably like their biggest cheerleader, whether they know it or not. And I look at them and I see their strengths in them. And I see those things that make them unique. I see those things that make them stand out. Some things that they may have not even accomplished yet, but I see them already doing well in those things because I just believe that I just had the most amazing women in my life, including my mother, you know, and it's at the same time, it's like, I know that they have their place. A teacher, real estate agent, future social worker, like all these things, like business owners, like I have all these things, teachers, like whatever I see in them. I just look at them and be like, man, like I have amazing women in my life. Like one of my sisters knows sports like the back of her hand. I hate sports. I don't hate it, but I will watch it if I have to. But I see that they're beautiful. My sister knows sports like the back of her hand. She'll talk about any sport. She's not a biased person. I can see her being a sports commentator. As a woman, man, she'll slice some of them men up because that girl chill and she know exactly what she be talking about. And one day we were stopped in the mall and this man asked me a question. I said, let me tell you something. I don't know nothing about sports, but you ask my sister. She coming up right now. I guarantee you what question you going to answer, every last one, she'll answer them for you. He started going. She started answering the question. I'm standing there like, and the last question he asked her, she was going to answer the first with the correct answer first, but she chose something else, but that was going to be her second, ended up being her second choice. And he was like, okay, I said, I told you, don't underestimate my sister. She know what she talking about. Like I admire certain things. My sister speaks Spanish. I'm like, man, I know a little bit, but she be saying something to me. I'm like, girl, I ain't got that far. I don't really know that. But it's just certain things. One of my sisters is like a beast. A couple of my sisters are like a beast in the kitchen. I know how to cook, but if I want something done, I'm like, okay, how you do this? Because I know that they have this knowledge better than I do, that I want to learn from them. You know, if I want to know something about a house, I go to my sister. If I want to know what it takes to run a classroom full of kids that just run around like they ain't got good sense, I go to one of my sisters. Like, I don't want to compare myself because I know they all have their own place. I'm going to come back and answer some of these a little later. Love this. I don't know what questions to ask to dig deeper to help the other person. I would say do some research about it. There are people that tell their stories on Google a lot, you know, and they really want to know what's up, you know, with how to help other people. So I would say, you know, just sometimes you have to do your research, or you just have to ask them, you know, well, how are you feeling? I think that's one of the things. How are you feeling, and what can I do to make you feel better? Or what is it that's troubling you? I think those are 3 good questions. Child, they are out here looking all dolled up on social media, but got the spirit of Cruella de Vil. Come on here now, killing animals so they can put on a nice new coat. Hey sis, I'm so glad you're touching on this subject. I've been struggling here lately with anxiety to the point where I'm shaking, heart racing, and I've been thinking I'm gonna really die. Please keep me in your prayers. It's been hard. Oh yes, sis. I know all about that. And it's really having to discipline your mindset, and it can be hard, but you have to understand that you're going to be okay. But we can talk more about that if you would like to. You can DM me and we can talk more about that if you want to. I can give you what I know, and everything else after that, I got to pray and go to God about to help you. But if you would like to talk about that, Sister Mary, I definitely could do that one-on-one. Not that I'm trying to be a therapist or nothing like that. Let me make that plain, people. But I don't mind sharing stories or trying to help others. How did you find that one person you can confide in? It's so hard to find someone sometimes because everyone is going through something, and I don't want to be a burden to anyone. Well, first of all, you got to see if they can handle what it is you're going through. You got to see because someone is going through something on their job and they're stressed about that, don't mean that they can't help you with anxiety or something that you're going through personally. So you may be going through one thing that you need help in. They may be going through one thing that they need help in. And if you can help them and they help you, that'll be a good thing. So don't ever feel like you're a burden, because you're always going to need someone to help you. You're always going to need someone. You know, if we could do this life on our own, we wouldn't even have people in our lives or in our families. We'd be on this earth by ourselves. But we have people in our lives for a reason. It's just sorting through. Give somebody the bits and pieces and see what they do with it. If they just make you feel worse, then that ain't the person that's going to help you. But if they make you feel better and they really speak to what you're going through, that's the person that you need to confide in. Also been waking up out of sleep in fear. Absolutely. I understand that too. Pray for me either way. Pray for them either way. Right. I feel you on that, Des. It's like what Bev said earlier about not wanting to share certain things because you're not sure if they can handle it. Absolutely. Absolutely. And greetings, by the way. Hi, Sister Monica. Hey, everyone that's here. I'm sorry. We're talking about mental health. So if you're reading the comments for the first time or you're just now joining, I know I should have said this a long time ago because I saw the numbers fluctuating. But I just want to say that feel free to jump on in. We're talking about anxiety, and we're talking about just different things as far as mental health. Okay, I'll stop comparing myself to you, LOL. Now tell everyone else to stop comparing us to you. Stop it. OMG. Okay, so I got to say this because Destiny said it. So my sisters... Okay, my family is 9 of us. We have 9 brothers, and it's 9 of us. So basically, I am probably the most social. Most of us go to church together. So people will see me, and they will automatically think that all my family members are just like me. Well, guess what? I have a family that's majority introverts, to be honest. And there's only a couple of us that are really, truly extroverts. So I think it's like, out of everybody, I think it's me and my sister Ashley that have the most extroverted personalities. And I think next in line, I would say Shonda and my sister Sharita after her. So they automatically think that everyone is going to be open and hi, everybody, like me. No, there are some of my siblings you walk up to and they're like, hey, and you're like, hey, how you doing? You're Sister Beverly, sister, aren't you? And they're just like, hey, how are you? They hate that. Okay. So if anybody's listening and you have done that to my siblings, please don't do it again because they hate it. Okay. They hate being compared to me. And honestly, I feel bad because I'm like, I don't ask people to do that, but I do want people to know that my family have their own personalities. Okay. So please stop comparing us. We're all great in our own way, whether we're quiet or talkative. Thank you. And that's the end of my speech. Drops mic. Okay. Hype these great women up. Right. Absolutely. I love my sister Bev. Very real and down to earth. Jim, God bless you. Oh, thank you. Pray for me, girl. Let me see. Hi, Brother Kev. Anxiety is just a fear of things that may never happen to you. So, in other words, we be tripping over things that aren't even real. It's mind over matter at the end of the day. I love that, Kev. Mind over matter. Mind over matter means that you choose to think above whatever you feel like is going to matter. Like, that's how I look at it. Like, you know what? I told someone a long time ago, if this is not going to matter in 5 years, don't spend no more than 5 minutes on it. If it's not going to matter in 5 years, don't spend no more than 5 minutes on it, because someone told me that. If it's really not going to matter, then why are you even worried about it? Why are you stressing about it? Okay, I don't know whether or not I'm going to be a good friend to this person. All right. Why are you worried about it? Do you feel like they should be in your life? Well, yeah, they're a good person and I love being there for them and they love being there for me. Don't worry about it. Let everything play out. Because sometimes not even just that, it may not even be real what you're worrying about, but if you put yourself through it twice, you're basically putting yourself through it twice. You're worried about something that may or may not be real. And let's say, hypothetically speaking, it happens. Okay, so now you didn't went through it twice because you didn't worry about it and now you didn't went through it. So it's twice that you put yourself through that situation, or you never go through it. Trust me, I have had some things in my life that I have worried about. OMG. I mean, worried sick about. And guess what? It didn't happen. It did not happen. So Bev walked away feeling like, well, there it is. There it is. I feel crazy. Y'all, I don't know why my nose is running so bad. But anyway, I don't know. I probably look crazy. But anyway, I love y'all just the same. I hope y'all love me too. Let's see. Depression. I think someone said, like I said, anxiety is living in the past. You got to stay present. And no, anxiety is living in the future. Depression is living in the past. So we find ourselves in low depressed moods. We don't want to be around anybody. We shut off. We stop eating. We stop socializing. We stop doing those things because we just don't feel like ourselves. We don't feel like, that we're even important. We feel like we should just run and hide. We feel like nobody sees us. Nobody hears us. Nobody loves us. We're not important. We're hopeless. All those things involve in the way we feel. But guess what? Some of those things are just feelings that aren't really real. You can't tell somebody what they think. You can't tell somebody what they feel. You're not them. So like Kevin was saying, anxiety, just fear of things that may never happen to you. So in other words, you're thinking that it's real because that's what you feel about it, but it's really not real. It's really not real. I can't say that, oh my gosh, what if they don't like me? What if I don't think that person likes me. I'm worried about it. Why are you worried about how they feel about you? Why are you fearful of what people think about you? Why are you fearful of, oh my gosh, my manager calling me told me we need to have a meeting. So I'm worried about what she's going to say. Oh my gosh. Am I going to get fired? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? Then all of a sudden, what happens? You come in there and she's like, oh my God, you've been doing so good. We're going to give you a raise. Oh my gosh. You were worried for no reason. I'm guilty of that. Hello, somebody. But that's just how it is sometimes. She said, Essence, of course, we love you, girl. What you think? We love you, girl. What you think? But yeah, it's like mental health is so important. And I feel like, it's not given, the knowledge of it is not given enough. We have psychology classes in college, but I do think we need to start incorporating psychology or mental health into elementary schools because kids go through it too. Kids are bullied. Kids are treated a certain type of way because of their religious beliefs, because of their dressing, because of them not being the same color as their other classmate. Kids are bullied. Racism, they're bullied. Adults are. It's like we need to talk about these things with our children. When they come home, hey, how's your mind? What were you thinking today? What are some thoughts that made you feel good? And what are some thoughts that made you feel bad? Why do you think you had those bad thoughts? Well, somebody said XYZ to me. Okay, well, why do you think they said that? I just told my nephew last night. I love him. He's like my son. I post him sometimes and say nephew, son. So if you see him on my stories, you know why? Because I feel like he's my son. That's my man. That's my little baby, my little man. Even though he's 17. Don't tell nobody. But I told him last night, I said, when people treat you wrong, think about it. It's something about them, not about you. If you've done nothing wrong to anybody and all of a sudden they treat you like you're the bad person, then that shows you what type of person they are, not the type of person that you are. So I think sometimes we get caught up in how people treat us sometimes, and that makes us feel a certain type of way, especially as kids. As kids, somebody bullying you, like, okay, so here's a fun fact about Beth. I am short, okay? But when I was little, whatever, Destiny, he's not your son. I'm older, he's my son. Uh, when I was younger, I always looked at myself as having big feet. I was like 4'11", wearing like a size 7.5, 8 shoe. And I was really short. And I used to get teased for having big feet. Hey, Sister Monique. I used to get teased for having like bigger feet than my body. And that used to make me feel some type of way. But I'm telling y'all, like, I'm not trying to brag on myself, but one thing I can truly thank God for is I was not the type of girl that was gonna let anybody just talk junk to me. I don't care if you were male or female. And I just tell straight up, mind your business. Don't worry about it. It is what it is. Yeah, whatever. And keep it moving. I wouldn't care about stuff like that. Oh, I had people trying me when I was in middle school, elementary school, high school. I was just not the type of person that was going to receive that stuff. Absolutely not. I had females trying to talk about how skinny I was, everything. And as a child, you're gonna do one or two things. You're gonna feel bad about yourself, or you're gonna let them know that you about to handle them because they ain't gonna try you. That's the type of kid I was. You're not gonna talk junk about me. You're not gonna talk junk about my siblings. You're not gonna talk junk about anybody. I will fight you. That's how I used to be. I ain't gonna lie. I'm sorry, y'all. That's a little bit about Beth. So yeah, they tried, but you got to teach yourself sometimes as a kid. Like I don't know where I got all that courage from. I know it had to be like it just had to be something that was just in me, because I'm like, wow, like I look at some of the kids today and how easy it is for them to be so discouraged and so sad and so depressed and so anxious and so down about what somebody has said about them. It's kind of sad to see that, to see your children feel less than, especially us that are raised in holiness or that are raising kids in holiness. We really got to check on them and ask them, like, hey, how you feeling? Like, how do you feel about the way you dress? How do you feel about the way you have to dress? How do you feel about, is anybody making you feel bad about the way you dress? And anybody talking to you about the way you dress? I had friends that would tell me all the time, Bev, I never even realized you wore skirts and dresses as a kid. I never even realized you dressed like that because you were just so cool. You were just this, you were just that. So I never really even paid attention. And then I had people taken up for me if anybody tried to talk about my religious beliefs. So for those of us that are in holiness and our kids are wearing skirts and dresses, the girls, not the boys, it's like they have a different struggle. They have a different situation. Think about it. These girls walking around now, with they shorts on and, all this different stuff. And they got the styles going and they got their hair braided and it's all the way down their back and all this other stuff. And our girls are walking around with their heads covered, skirts. And I'm saying our girls because I got a niece that's in school, and she wears her head covered and she does those things. So it's like, yeah, Sister Felicia, I don't have kids, but I do feel like I have kids because my niece and nephews, they're my babies now. I'll be talking to them like, what's going on? Talk to me. How you feeling about that? Okay, how you feel about this? Like I had a conversation with my nephew last night. I don't know if I could say a conversation, but it was a teaching lesson because he didn't do much talking because he was listening to me. But yeah, talking to your children and listening to them, walk them through their problems, because I think I saw a post, one of the sisters posted how children have big feelings. They have a lot of feelings about different things. And I feel like sometimes the kids are overlooked sometimes. And not just children, the elderly can get depressed because they've lived all their lives. Me and my mom was just talking about this. They've lived all their lives. Now they're getting a Social Security check and they taxing the Social Security check. Why? You didn't tax every last one of my 50 million checks I got over my whole long life of living. And now after I done retired and, live my life, got grandkids and everything else. And now you want to tax my retirement check, my Social Security? Like what in the world's going on with the world? In America. America is terrible with certain stuff. And it's just like, man, like these elderly, they sad. They on a fixed income. They can't do too much. They can't go too many places. They can't travel the world like they may have wanted to because they don't have money after they retire. This stuff is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And it's like, man, like Check on your grandmother. Check on your grandfather. Check on your great aunt, your great uncle. Check on them. See how they doing. Because this is a world that they probably never saw coming. Things that they never saw coming after they done been loyal to a country that don't even want to treat them well. They got insurance, Medicare, and the insurance don't even cover half of the medical bills that's out here. So they stuck with medical bills that they don't even know how to pay for because they got fixed income. They still paying mortgage, or they got their house paid off, but they still got other things that they got to take care of. People need this, people need that. They still got to go grocery shopping, still got to put gas in the tank. Like, they still have to renew their license if they're still driving. It's so many things, so many people that are affected by anxiety, depression, and mental health is down. Like, they're upset. I think cooking is something that maybe elderly people, like a woman that's been around for years, she loves doing that. It's probably something that's therapeutic to get in that kitchen and cook for her children and grandchildren. It takes her mind off of everything that she's been dealing with. The grandfather, he's out there cutting the grass still planting flowers, still doing things in the garden, because it takes his mind off of everything else that he got to face. Even after living his life, he's still depressed. He's still down. He's still not feeling well because he's looking at things that he never even thought. Like, it's just crazy how this world is today and how so many things affect us. But I'm grateful that we have more research. We have more things to be able to tackle these mental health situations. We have more things to be able to get our minds back on track. We have people that we can go to. Like, back in the day, they may not have had all the things that we have. They might not have had people to go to, because the same thing that Miss Betty going through, Miss Jenkins, she going through the same thing down the street. So they really try to be there for each other, sharing stories and things like that. But we have more research on how to get our minds to overcome those things that we find ourselves buried under sometimes. Build those emergency savings funds and beyond. Exactly. But if they don't have that education, the elderly didn't have that education on what to do. They were living in the present moment. Sometimes they couldn't think about the future because they had to make sure they had money to even survive the present. So a lot of them didn't get that knowledge that we have today. They don't have the knowledge that we have today to have financial literacy, to be able to know what they should have had as a younger person, what they should have invested as a younger person, what they should have invested years ago. And now they're afraid to retire. After 45 years of working for a company, your retirement check ain't worth 10 cents worth of dog meat. That's crazy. So now we have the knowledge to have a better future because of what we're presently getting. So that's why I said I'm glad I'm living in a more educated world now. Like, our generation has more knowledge than those before us. It doesn't make us better than, but it allows us to have a better future financially, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, whatever it is. It's like mental health is so important nowadays, you guys. And I just feel like, I don't know, I hope everybody got something out of this. I've been trying my best to wrap. Now I'm going to the wrap up session, but anxiety and depression is nothing to play with. If you see someone that doesn't seem themselves, don't be afraid to ask them if they're okay. Don't be afraid to say, hey, I noticed that you've normally been doing this, but now you haven't. Like, are you all right? Like, how you feeling? Like, what's going on? Exactly. Another video says how to uplift and take care of our elderly. Quite a few aren't that tech savvy to do research we would do. Exactly. They're not. They don't have that knowledge. They don't have that opportunity. They don't have that. I think the sister said, yes, cooking is so so therapeutic. Yes, it is. Cleaning is so therapeutic for me. Like, I love cleaning the kitchen. That's my favorite part of the house to clean. But with all these things and with the world that we're presently living in, I think it's so vital and so important that we check our minds throughout the day. I made a pact with someone to just try to, make sure that we're thinking progressively and not thinking bad and negative so much to the point where we're drowning in those thoughts. Trying to maintain a healthy mind in this world, you have to get away from the social media accounts. You have to get away from all those people that you think are just perfect people that never mess up. If they treating you like they got it all figured out, they may the people you want to be around, because as soon as you let them know you don't have it figured out, they're gonna try to make you feel bad for how you feeling. Yes, talk about that mental health, because I realize that the issue is downplayed. And as a result, folks aren't speaking up about their struggles. Absolutely. People don't want to be vulnerable. People don't want to share certain things because they feel like it's not going to be heard or it's not going to be resolved. But you'll never know unless you say something. If you're going through something and you feel like you want to take your life, please reach out to someone that you can trust or that you feel won't say anything. And that's one thing I can truly say. I'm not a therapist or anything like that. And I do try my best to help out as much as possible. But I will say that if you find someone that can help, and you know that your information is going to be trusted with them, if you got to sign a contract, that way if they say anything, you can just sue their behinds. Whatever the case is, feel free to speak up. Feel free to let people know how you're feeling and let them know that, this is where I'm at and this is where I'm trying to be. And I just feel like I need someone to help me get there. And if you're not comfortable, do your research, do what you need to do, talk to a counselor, whatever you need to do. But please don't think you got to handle life alone, because it is not like that. You don't have to handle life alone. You don't have to be in this world alone, because if you were supposed to be here alone, you'll be here by yourself on an island by yourself. Nobody there but you and God. But that's not the case. So utilize your resources. You're not alone, whether you're a child or an adult. If your children need help and you need to know who to go to, start doing your research. Don't let them deal with that by themselves. Even if you can't handle it, don't feel bad because you don't know how to fix your child's problems. There is somebody out there that your child may be willing to open up to. So get to know whoever they need to open up to and allow them to open up to them, because sometimes even children don't even want to open up to their own parents for whatever reason. But you can't be mad with that. You got to respect it and be glad that they're opening up to someone. So what did Gavin say? You don't have to be strong by yourself. Exactly. You don't have to be strong by yourself. You don't have to be. This world is made with many people, and you can't look at this world as if everybody's against you, because everybody's not. You only feel that way because of maybe past experiences, but I can guarantee you're going to be fine with the proper resources to help you in whatever way. So I encourage everyone, if you see that friend or if you're not feeling well, reach out. Reach out to them. Reach out to someone to help you. Don't feel like you're a burden, because I would rather you be a burden to somebody that actually don't mind it and don't consider it a burden, than for you to be burdening yourself by yourself, all alone, handling problems by yourself that you're not doing well with. If you know you can't handle it and you know you can't figure it out, why sit there with it? Go to someone else who can help you, that you can trust and be there with. So I really do appreciate y'all joining me on today. I hope that I've said something. I said a lot. I'm pretty sure I talked a lot, but this is something I'm very passionate about, because I know what it feels like to not have what you need. I know what it feels like to have what you need. And I was blessed to have someone in my life to aid me at the time of my worst, darkest moments in my life. So just know that someone is there. You just got to reach out, do your research. Thank you, Sister Ivana. I really appreciate you. And I realized that I got another subscriber, so I hope that they're here watching. Thank you to all my new subscribers. I really appreciate y'all. So yeah, I got to do my exit song because it's my favorite, one of my favorites. So we're going to try this again. How about we're going to try it again? Oh, may God be with you. Oh, may God be with you. Oh, may God be with you till we meet again. Oh, may God be with you. Oh, may God be with you. Oh, may God be with you till we meet again. All right, you guys. Oh, thank you. And one last thing. Saturday, God willing, I will be out of town, so I won't be doing my show, but I'll make that announcement a little bit later. Thank y'all for joining me. I love y'all. Have a wonderful rest of your Saturday and an even more beautiful weekend. And you're welcome, Esther. Absolutely. Thanks, sis. Y'all pray for me, and I love y'all. Bye.